beer, beer, and more beer, and beer. And it's time for a Homebrew Wednesday. Again, already. Just sneezed now, I'm all bloody bunged up. Right, time to do my SJ porr beer, which was, if I remember, CL015GB, the raspberry vanilla wheat beer. Didn't do too well. Gosh, wasn't I surprised at that result? Not. Well, I did say when I bottled it, it is what it is. And not wanting to obviously go on any further than that, it turned out as it was. A little hiss. Ironically, I have had two that have gone off for some reason. One was in a Newberg Pilsner bottle. So whether it was the design of the bottle, it was this one. Went off like a bloody firework. But anyway, yes, we have the raspberry vanilla. I haven't even had a drink tonight. Been pushing it about all bloody day, but we'll go for the same glass. Totally aggressive, well, not aggressive, poor man. There we go. It fizzles out. It is, for a wheat beer, quite clear. There is a little cloud of yeast floats about in it. Not got much sign of, it's quite lightly carbonated, which wasn't the intention. It was the first beer I have actually batch primed in a bottling bucket. Normally I just do the good old fashioned, you know, third of a teaspoon in a 330, a teaspoon in a, or whatever it is, I can't remember, half a teaspoon in it. I went on Brewer's Friend or one of them calculators and put in what style of beer it was, or I looked up what style of beer, 2.5 volumes of CO2. It told me how many grams of sugar it was. I mixed it with a little bit of the beer from the primary fermenter, or secondary fermenter, because obviously I racked it to a secondary. Didn't want to mix it in with a spoon and risk aerating, I can't speak tonight, aerating the beer. So I dissolved a little bit of the sugar, or I dissolved the sugar in a little bit of beer. Once dissolved, I filled the bottling bucket up. Obviously the flow stirs it around, or should do. There isn't a syrup lying at the bottom, I think, I don't know, but I've had two that have fermented as they should have done, or a little bit too much. But the rest all seem to be woefully undercarbonated, as I think all of you found out. Which did put a mockers on it slightly, because wheat beers are supposed to have a head. And not look like a still cider. But aroma is raspberry, and only raspberry. Most of the people didn't pick out the vanilla. I will hold my hand up and say I cannot find the vanilla in it. The idea came from raspberry and vanilla ice cream. Raspberry beer, let's chuck some vanilla in, see if it does anything. 4 vanilla pods later, nothing. Didn't use vanilla essence. Oh, no, my teeth, not Larry Grayson's. Yeah, I think someone, or some people thought I'd used vanilla essence, which doesn't really work because sometimes it ferments out. They were real beans cut up into a little bit of vodka in a jam jar and left, I think, 2 to 3 weeks before adding to secondary. I was a little bit worried that 4 would be too much, but they were Asda's own ones and they didn't look particularly good. Some people could find the vanilla, maybe they're more familiar with it, which I think goes again with what people interpret the tastes. Let's get a taste, because we're just talking shit at the minute. It actually does feel carbonated on the tongue. There's a little bit of effervescence. You don't get that off your tongue, but it's quite a bite. It is raspberry after all. It had tinned raspberries in syrup, not juice, because it waters it down. It had however much frozen raspberries, and 3 bottles of Melina raspberry syrup, which isn't fake, it is actually compressed condensed raspberry added with sugar. And I did do, the reason I used that is because I've got any left. I think Grant Bill of 1983 has had one of these, which was a demi-john with a whole bottle of Melina and some of the liquid malt extract, which I think was one of these. That might have been the bigger jar, the 650, but it's the stuff you can buy out of Holland and Barrett, which is basically plain malt extract. And that worked quite well, but again, that doesn't produce any head. I've also had a couple of Finlander ale kits that, again, they go like a Coca-Cola, they froth up and that's it, they die off straight away. So I don't quite know what that is. This had 3 weeks in the bottle, just about, before it went out. But again, these have been sat as long as it went on. They all got bottled at the same time, so obviously whether it was low yeast left in the bottle, whether it wasn't enough sugar, it had plenty of time in the warm. Fermentation times the temps did creep up to, I think, 27, 28 degrees, because we had the warm spell, which I wasn't overly worried about because obviously I wanted some fruity esters in there. This one tastes cleaner. I do get tastes off of some of them. That could be the mix of bottles, although all of the bottles have been used before, but some of them have had lambic beers in them, because they are mostly Belgian 330s. But I don't think that's an issue of any possible yeast strains, because they were left empty in our car park for quite some time, years, before I cleaned them out, sterilised them, used them all, cleaned them out and used them again. These are probably the 3rd use, so I don't think there's any rogue bacteria or yeast in them, or most of them. Some people got more recent bottles and some of them got American bottles, but yeah, this one tastes fairly clean, but again, I don't get any vanilla whatsoever. This one doesn't seem to have quite the alcohol bite that some do. Probably me, because I've had a spicier meal tonight, so I'm not pulling off so much. Score wise, well, I mean, I did get quite a swing from 2 to 37 or 38, I think, which again I think is obviously people just don't like that style of beer. They've never had one before, so they don't know how to judge it. I think that is what people are finding with there being that many people in all of the countries. I know some have had quite a problem with lack of feedback on the scoring. I've had a couple, one that was probably a little bit vague, one that was virtually nothing. But again, sometimes you get, you know, writer's block. What can you do if you can't explain a beer very well? How can you then go and write a comment down on the sheet? Again, I think some of that will be the fact that we've got a lot of people who've never brewed competition before, let alone had to judge 20, 30 other beers, and beer styles that you've never tried before. I dare say probably half of the people in the UK had never probably tried a fruit beer. They've never had a goose, they've never had a Krieg or a Framboos. A Belgian beer, they've probably had German wheat beers from Tesco's. Don't get me on that one because they contract brew. We buy ours from Germany. Some of the beers that are sold under the German label are brewed in Poland, so don't, you know, don't get me on that licensed brewing. Anyway, this is starting to take longer. Yeah, I'm not overly surprised. I wasn't pleased with the beer myself. Had I have had a plan B or C, you wouldn't have seen this one. I find it drinkable, some people don't. They find it too acidic, astringent. I'm not getting the astringency off of this particular bottle. Again, I think it could be the temperatures. It's cool in the house, we've not got the central heating on, it's 17 degrees, it's been sat here another 3-4 weeks. Beers change over time. I can testify to that with my smash beer. The amount of changes that went through. Every 2 weeks I was trying one, and it was a completely different beer at week 2 to week 6. The idea, I call that bitter get smashed, because it was bitter, quite a bit of bite on it. The first sort of 2-3 weeks in, the time I tried it at 5-6 weeks, it was sort of like, I can't detect that now, and it became a very malty beer, big beer. This I haven't noticed so much changes. It may be mellowing out a little bit. It did come up a bit higher than I wanted. Came out at 6%. Obviously there was the sugary additions from the fruit, which is a bit hard to calculate how much they're affecting your final ABV and your final gravity, because the beer's fermented out. It's got 5.5% ABV, then you go and chuck a load more fermentables in, your gravity goes up. That's no longer your final gravity. It then ferments some of those fermentables out, some of them aren't fermentable, so your beer might become sweeter. It might become, actually, a lot of the times you add fruit, you actually dilute the beer and decrease the ABV, not increase it. But it's round about the 5.5–6% mark. I don't mind it. It's not what I intended to brew. It didn't come out. When I bottled it, I thought, this isn't what I wanted it to look like. I was expecting a much darker looking beer, a darker red, and it didn't come out that way. But I did try this week. I've had it a while. This, if you can see it, it's got a picture of apples on it, and it's not a cider. This is a local brewery. I picked them up last Christmas when they had an opening. They do their QE, quintessentially English range. Various different beers. They do a cherry stout, and this one's an apple and vanilla wheat beer. Now, I'm pretty sure if anyone's tried it, but it really doesn't look like a wheat beer. It doesn't taste like a wheat beer. It tastes of sweet apples. And I couldn't taste the vanilla on this. There was something else that could have been vanilla, but again, if you're not overly familiar with a taste, you can't identify it. Until I'd done that passion fruit wine and drank the passion fruit juice in the little little jars I got. When I was trying some of the people's SJ beers, and they've got specific hops that do contain passion fruit flavours, bang, I could get them straight away. Whereas before I'd say, oh no, it's a bit grapefruity. You know, you get that sort of tartness and sour, bitter bite from all of those slightly acidic fruits. But now I seem to have that taste memory. So yeah, my advice to anyone is go out and try as many different beer styles and beer types as you physically can, purely for research. Obviously I'm quite fortunate in that department because I work in the largest beer shop in the UK and I can punish my liver every week. Now honestly, Tiny, I don't punish my liver that way. But talking of beers and beer shops and beers that I can get, I know I have one particular subscriber, Frank, over in Ireland, a Scotsman in Ireland. Know what he done? He had to hide in Ireland, but he's quite partial to a Rausch beer, mainly Schenkerla, because it seems to be the most well known and probably one of the best Bamberg smoked malt beers. But I did pick up some more. I think I said I was going to get them, but they were some specials we had coming up where we only got like 3 cases of each beer. So I went Rausch beer mad. We had this one called Smoky George. It is from Rittmeyer Brewery, and it is, interestingly, seeing as he's Scottish, beer aus original Scottish hem whisky rauch malts, which means they use peated whisky malt from Scotland. The brewer has travelled all the way from Germany to Scotland. So I haven't tried this yet, obviously, but they've used Scottish whisky peated malt rather than the Bamberg smoked malt, which I have read before not to really go that route, that the Scottish whisky peat malt isn't the best thing to use for a smoked beer. So we'll wait and see what how they've done that. But from the same stable, the brewery, they also do the Gold Award winning 2009 European Beer Star Gold Award Rauch beer, which is this one. Obviously they're quite proud of it because the label only consists of this one, and it's a good old swing top bottle. I don't think it was too dear either. So we've got that one, and what else did we get? We got this one, Wein here, Rauch. And then they do sort of a Pils, a Lager, Keller beer, a Bock, and now a Rauch beer, which I hadn't seen before, but I think we've had it because I had to put it in the shop and find the barcodey labely thing. As you can see, recycled bottle from Germany. And again, swing top, because I know all you boys love your swing top bottles from Aldi. I did partake myself in the Das Haus, which for a cheapo German lager beer isn't too bad. And like most of the guys, I thought, I can't remember what this is. I think this is $1.79 or a little bit cheaper. The Alton Munster is $1.79, which is cheaper than we have it for. I didn't bother with that one because I've had it. And those Alton Munster beer bottles are quite large, and if you've got the German beer crates like I have, they don't fit in them unless you've got the Alton Munster beer crate, which I could, oh, I've got at work, but I don't, you know, I've only got a couple of them bottles. But yeah, these fit in the standard crates. Talking of which, the guy sells the empties in a crate for 20 quid plus postage if anyone's interested. You get 20 of these used in a crate, which is Andy Harry. What else did I get? Well, staying on that specialist line, but away from the Rauch malts now, I only got the 3. Maisels Weiss, if you've heard of them, Maisels Weiss beer. They've done some brewing collaborative brews. They've called the series Maisel and Friends. They've got a Bavarian wheat beer, an India Pale Ale, which is basically a take on the English idea but using New World American hops, and they've done this one, which I thought, yeah, I'll try this one. This is Mark's Chocolate Bock in a big bottle. This is a 750ml crown cap bottle. So we thought, well, we'll have a, you know, got to try this one for research purposes. As I said, guys, try as many different beer styles as you can and types. Obviously, I haven't done a theme of a different beer from a country that subscribes to me this week, as we've covered a light review of the tragedy that was the raspberry vanilla wheat beer. But I did buy supplies for the country beers for next week's and the week after's, possibly, if they last that long. Good old Australia, where would we be without them for the Castlemaine 4X and the Foster's Lager? Although obviously Foster's Lager over here is about as Australian as I am. But they did get one named after my sister-in-law. Genuine, straight from Matilda Bray. Fuck me, what is wrong with my Bray? Matilda Bay Brewing Company. Yeah, look, Fat Yak. Named it after my sister-in-law. Anyway, I know it's a macro, but that's about all we can get from the land of Down Unders. It was the Fat Yak Brewing Company. It was either that or fucking Cooper's. or Victoria Bitter, or Castlemaine 4X Gold. All little creatures, but we haven't got any of that in, so I couldn't get that one. But yeah, so that will be the Australian contingent. And for the Austrian contingent, because we have the wacky Schnapps brothers, it isn't schnapps. I have got a bottle of Volkova schnapps, which is empty. Good old oldies. We have, is this one? Herta Privet pills. Because it hurt if they kick you in the privets. But yeah, we have the privet pills. And a little treat for myself. Because I think I might do the high water IPA for the American one. It's the big one, but it's an IPA, it's old. It's not going to be at its best. But we did have a shitload of rogue bears come in. I don't mean rogue bears running around, I mean those rogue bears. So, damn, I meant to have a look to see what the crustacean was going to be. We have got a couple of the cases of crustacean. Hazelnut brown nectar. An ale with natural hazelnut flavour. I'll let you know. Yum yum. So we've got chocolate, hazelnut and smoke. And raspberry you can't taste the vanilla in. Anyway, well, me the wife can. 2 or 3 people of you out there could. I can't. Maybe it weren't a bad thing, because if you go too much vanilla that just takes over and wipes everything else out. But not that there was a lot in there to wipe out. But unfortunately, like I said, it is what it is. Was. But I have not been idle this week. Well, I have. I had other jobs to do this week, so I didn't get any brewing. There's a freaking surprise. But it pissed down with rain as well. Those of you here in England know that already. So that fucked up the hop harvest from last week's little bush. Around the other side is quite good. There are some, you know, good old size, as big as last year's ones, some monster ones there. But because it was all wet, no good. I think I've probably missed the window of opportunity on them now. Sunday was a fine day, but it was still damp. And they have got a little bit of fragrance, but no, they're not very pungent, so I think they're on the tail end of, and some of the tips are turning brown. So I think they're sort of missed the window of opportunity for this year. Not too bothered. Same problem with my work colleague, who happens to have 3 acres of land with hops growing all over the place. She's been on holiday, so but they'll be there next year, and after winter there's always the rhizomes, so I can always nip up there and liberate a few roots. But I did manage to potter about a little bit, and there was something I've been, where the hell is it? You know, I know I've got it, I can't friggin' find it. It's in one of my many sheds, and I did find it in one of my many cars. And with a few components, like a plug, some yellow high-vis cable, a baton holder, and an old movie light. We have made ourselves one of the old foldy lights, camera, action. Then you got an energy saving bulb in there, so it's not exactly going to burn the lens out on the camera, but we'll get a bulb for it. But yeah, we can improve lighting. Not going to get suntan off it, that's for sure. Yeah, so we knocked that up. So some of you who follow the Facebook page have seen the little album of click 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 crap. But anyway, that's about it for this week. I can't tell you no more. I know some people liked it. But seriously, the the feedback was useful to a degree. Those that can pass on the information, which is one of the reasons I put it in feedback. I didn't brew to win just as well. But cheers to all of the guys in the SJ Porr, I was going to say experiment, but it wasn't this year, SJ Porr competition challenge, from all of the legs all around the world. All of the guys that have put their own time and energy and effort into being the hubs. Obviously Harry in the UK, Tony in Europe, Gashlug over in Australia, Paul in New Zealand, all the guys in the States, everyone else that sort of helped them out. Wouldn't be possible without those people being behind the system to do the logistics. Without it we would not had a worldwide event, and obviously all of the hard work that went into the website as well. So cheers to each and every one of you contributors, and obviously a big cheers to our sponsors. Again, they've obviously eased the burden of the cost and in turn got a little bit of promotion. So it's a good old fashioned, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, which is the best way of working. Nudge nudge, wink wink, say no more. So we'll see what happens next year, eh? Anyway, I've got a bag of crisps that needs eating. See you next week.